Well, welcome everyone. I see people coming in from all over. It's just so exciting. Let's see, Uruguay, Scotland, Florida, Ontario, Canada, Texas. Wow. Columbus, South Carolina, Michigan, Kentucky. Well, Happy New Year to everyone. I just choked right before coming on here, so I'm gonna have my water here. But I'm so excited to do this finally with you all. I've been wanting to do it for so long. And as you come in, I want everyone to just take a deep breath, and myself included, because we're coming off of a really busy season, holiday time, family members here, or just, we're all out of our schedule, our normal routine. And I know, at least for me, and I imagine for some of you too, that, when you get thrown off your schedule, sometimes it's really hard to get back into it. And so I thought this would be the perfect reset for us to start. 2025. Claim it as your year. And those of you that, I know we're coming in from all different levels of paint backgrounds here, and I want you to know that it doesn't matter where you are in your paint journey right now. Some of you may not have painted at all, and this could be your very first experience with painting. And some of you, I know, because you've been sending me messages, have been painting for years, and one reason or another have had to put the paintbrush down, or life's got in the way, and things just had to take a pause for a minute. So wherever you're coming from, just know you're in the right place, and take a breath. Right? You're safe. You're here. You made it, and we're gonna do this. And so the goal of today is to simply get started, no matter where you are in your journey. And I'm gonna put myself right in there with you, because I've had, we have 4 kids, and we've had an exchange student through the years too, right? And so 2 of my kids no longer live at home, and everyone flew back in for the holidays, and our exchange student from Denmark, who used to live with us, is also here with us still. And so I know, I have not been able to be in my routine. And so this is just as important to me today as it is to you, that we just, as a collective community, get together and just paint. And that's, sometimes all it takes to get us going and back in that routine. So for those of you that don't know me, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll just jump right in. So I've been painting for almost 20 years now. I started out as a hobbyist, like most of you maybe, and I didn't know a darn thing. And I was taking workshops here and there when I could. And 20 years ago, we didn't have the internet, and it wasn't so easy to start learning. And so it took me a lot longer. I think this journey now, for those of you that are connected to the internet and taking, classes and like this, you have the opportunity to learn so much faster than I did. And it's a lot more fun, and you have a stronger community that you can connect with. And it's just, wow, I wish I had this when I started. But I just did it anyways. And so I'll share a little bit more about myself as we get into this, and just have fun with it. So I love showing people, now that I've learned some basic foundational skills myself, I love showing people that anyone can paint, and that each one of you is really a creative person, even though you may not believe it right now. I truly believe, and by my experience, that creativity lies in each one of us, and it's just a matter of waking it up. And this is the start for some of you, being your first experience here, this is the start of actually waking up that creativity inside you. And I'm so excited to see where you can take this. I love showing people that they can consider. So I know that you all love art because you're here, and so you feel the same way I do about it, right? But what's really exciting for me is to show people that love art and are, looking at art and considering what to buy for their house as they decorate, the possibility that they could actually make their own beautiful artwork for their house. And I want you to just let that sink in for a minute, because it's so easy for us to look at a piece of art and go, oh my God, I could never do that. And then to take that person in just a little step-by-step process to show them that it's not that far off for them to achieve. And you're not meant to paint like anyone else. So give yourself permission to make that discovery about yourself here today in this really safe environment. There's no judgment. Let's just put that aside and give yourself complete, full, and free permission to just explore. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and we have to give ourselves permission to discover and see what might even interest us without any judgment at all. If you don't like it, no big deal. It was just a little experiment. And, this is that's the path that I followed. I've had some great mentors, and I'm just gonna, focus on a few things taking us through today to get us started. And that's all you need. And the rest is just allowing yourself to have some fun and make those discoveries. So let me see here. As a group, so I want you to think about setting an intention as we start. As a group, our intention is going to be to get started, right? That's the whole purpose of this. But I want you to think of something in addition to that, right? Something maybe a little deeper or a little more personal for you. So our group, let go, is the intention. But for me, for example, getting started is the intention. I'm getting a little ahead of myself on my notes. So getting started is our group intention. My personal intention for today is going to be letting go. And so for me, that means letting go of control, letting go of not being able to be in control, or letting go of what I can't control, letting go of stress, of not being perfect, all of that stuff, right? And so for me, that really speaks to me today because I'm coming off a holiday season of hosting everyone in my house. And I'm at that point where I'm going, okay, take a deep breath. You made it through. It was fun, but that does take a toll on us, right? So I'm letting go of that. And I'm going to focus on getting back into my routine and just getting started again. And believe it or not, even though I've been painting for all these years, I still have to go through that initial process of getting the kinks out, like maybe working the nerves. Not that I'm nervous, but we get in our head sometimes, and that creates this nervous, dysbiosis, this nervous misalignment, and we lose ourselves and we just have trouble getting back into it. I put myself right there. So I'm going to go through this whole process with you today because I'm right where you're at, whether you're a beginner or you've been painting a while. Those that have been painting a while absolutely know this still applies to us. So it's the perfect place for us together to just let go and do this. All right. So if you have a different intention, and by the way, I'd love for you to share in the comments here. I'm going to look up and read it, and whenever I can, if you've chosen an intention, if you don't mind sharing it with us. And I see someone from my home state of Connecticut. Karen, hi. I'm wondering where you're from. I grew up in Southbury, Connecticut, went to Western Connecticut State University. Love it. I love it. And gosh, from all over the world. I wish I could say hello to everyone, but I want to get going with you guys. But please share. Okay, and let me start with actually showing you my supplies for the day. So we're gonna switch cameras really quick. I'm gonna slide over and we're just gonna go through everything. So here we go. All right. For those of you that are planners like me, I had included in the email list, some supplies because I know what it's like to be prepared. Now, I also put on there that there is absolutely no required materials because I just want you guys to see it's not that big of a deal, okay? I don't want anyone stressed out, and I listed quite a few supplies, options for surfaces, and I'm gonna use each one of these just so you can see it's not a big deal. All right, I have watercolor paper here, and this is an old piece that you can see I've already painted on, so it doesn't matter, like you don't have to have brand new supplies. Watercolor paper, this is 300 pound. This is a wood panel that I had cut for me from Home Depot, and this is an old painting I just wasn't satisfied with. I'm gonna paint over it. Here's a canvas, just a practice canvas, a small one, that I put a base layer of paint on, very thin. And then this one, look, I have absolutely nothing on because I'm sure there are people that haven't, put anything on their canvas or their paper, and I just want you to see that it's really not a big deal, okay? We can take each one of these and we can do something with them today. And it's just the start. So let me show you also, one sec. I've got actually they're not watercolor, they're oil pencils. I've got markers, and I even have some oil pastels, and these are actually, they call them neo pastels. They're crayons. They're a certain more waxier crayon, but even crayons will do. So just, you may not have any fancy supplies. You really don't need nothing fancy today. This is just about getting going and getting our minds back in that creative zone. All right, so, and then in a minute we'll lay out our paints, but right now, what we're gonna do is simply take our surfaces, and I want you to grab really any mark making thing, right? I'm gonna start with a few markers here, and you're gonna see, I'm just gonna alternate. These are one of my favorites. They're oil pencils, and I bought them on Amazon, actually. They're probably the best oil pencils I could find. I can't even find these in art stores. Isn't that crazy? They don't, here's the brand, Art and Fly. I can't even find these in an art store, and they're packaged up so nicely in here. And I love them because I've got a ton of colors, and they just work really well. So, all right, let me just grab a few out. I'm not gonna think about it too much. I want you guys to start choosing maybe some markers or whatever it is that you have for mark making. Just grab a handful and think of this as your warm up, all right? We do warm ups when we exercise, right? Or if you ever do any sort of performance, athletic, they go through their little routine to get, let's think of it like you're getting the jitters out, right? Just go crazy with it. This is the warm up. And I'm just gonna take anything I want, and I think right now, I'm gonna grab one of these neo pastels. And I'm just gonna make some marks. My markers. And you may see other artists do this, and you think, wow, that's kind of silly. You're just like scribbling and then you're gonna cover it up. Why don't you just get going? Well, there's a method to this madness, right? As we learn more about our art, ourselves, you kind of figure out what works best for you, your routine, and what gets your mind going. And that's really all it is. I'm gonna even use a Sharpie here, okay? just so you can see, it doesn't matter. And one of the things that I love about abstract art is the fact that anything goes. It's a rule-breaking type of art, and I love that. And people will tell you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, that's not archival. And you know, when they tell me that on Instagram, those trolls, it just kind of exposes to me their scarcity mentality, and I don't worry about it. I honestly know many artists that all they do is use house paint for their art, and they sell it, and they do really great. So don't let any of that bother you. All right, I'm gonna switch canvases now. So whatever surface that you brought, let's move on to the next one. And you may hear some artists say that I'm activating the canvas when I do that. And so it's just another way to look at it. And I'm not gonna put as many marks probably on these, but just enough. I want you to be, as you're doing this, let's raise the awareness too in our own minds. And I want you to notice how you feel, okay? Sometimes I can tell you this from my personal experience. When I was beginning way back, and I went to like maybe a one-day workshop, I would go and I'd be so nervous because I felt like everyone knew something like more about painting than I did. And I'd walk around and I'd look at, you know, I'd try to hide my work because I was such a beginner and it really sucked. But I would see theirs and I could tell, oh my gosh, they're so good. I have no business being here, right? And that's not the right way to think, but we get inside our own head. And this right here is just, it helps us get out. You get those jitters out, right? So that's what we're doing. And I'm gonna switch surfaces again. We're gonna get a good amount on it. And I want you to see if you can feel and be more aware as you're doing this, as you're getting the body moving, right? Because it is a form of movement, that these jitters, or maybe doubts, right? The negative self-talk, oh, you can't do this. It's gonna shut up. We're shutting it up and we're just getting ourselves going. And that's all it takes. And you do this enough and you start to believe a different story. And that's all I did. There, see? And I also look at this and it's a way of getting the chaos in my head out and onto the paper. And it gets out of my body. It frees me up. It stops me from getting stuck, right? I'm gonna move on to the next one. This is my wood panel here. And you can see at one point, this is maybe a couple years old, right? I have a ton of these. And you know, when I did this, I thought, oh, it's pretty good, right? And I signed my name and sealed it and everything. And then as you learn more, you go back and you look, oh no, you know, I have a lot more to learn, or I didn't like this about it. And you know, it's not a precious thing to me. I don't hold any of my paintings as precious, even though I love looking at them and I love making them. But we grow, right? And so this one, it's gonna grow with me. There, get all that out. Let's grab a couple of more pencils here. And it's a great way for me to, I mean, I'm essentially destroying it, right? But if you can step back and think of the big picture, I'm not destroying anything. It just wasn't ready. And now it's gonna move on and I'm gonna work towards something else. And that's really all it is. All right. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. We're gonna, they're all activated, what I call, and Let me just set these aside, get them in a little bit of an order here so that I can move and get some of my other supplies out to show you. Okay, so I'm gonna put all my mark making tools off to the side. Let's see, let's get these back in here. Okay.
Hey, while you're doing that, some cool comments.
Oh, tell me.
Let's see, S. Bauer, she wants to build confidence and knowing when to stop. I overwork things.
Oh, excellent, yes.
Carrie's talking about loosening up her.
Let me switch cameras so I could see.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We switched? Did we switch? Okay, cool. So, okay. What was that last comment? Let me see if I can.
About loosening up.
Loosening, oh my gosh, loosening up, yes. Let me just tell you really quick about that. When I started painting, I wanted to start abstract, but I did not know how. Like, you look at it, right? And you think, oh, that's easy, I could do it. It's just a bunch of lines scribbled around, right? And then you start to do it yourself, and at least in my case, and I was so tight. And I created, I ended up creating like very realistic paintings, and that's not what I wanted to do. And I'm like, how am I ending up doing this? This is not at all what I want to do. And it's kind of funny because, abstract can be one of those deceiving things where we think you look at something and especially, non-representational abstract, right? We look at it, we go, anyone could do that, until we actually try and do that, right? But I have an approach on it that works for me, and, I fully believe it will work for anyone else. And apart from that, the whole loosening up process, it's just practice. It's like, I like to correlate it to yoga or working out, right? Yoga is called a yoga practice. It's never a perfection. And we don't show up the same way every day, right? When we do a fitness class or a yoga class, sometimes we're tighter because who knows what we did the day before. We lifted heavy items. We went on a 10-mile hike, whatever it is. And then you go into class the next day and you're tight, or your balance is off, or you didn't sleep good, and you just, and for whatever reason, we can't get that same result, right, that we want. And so I just have to take a breath and go, okay, it's a practice. I'm not going to hit it today, but that's okay. I'm doing it, and that's all that matters. Abstract art is the same. So if you can think of it like that, I want you to focus on making it as enjoyable as possible for yourself. I found that when I got into that zone, that's when I started like making art that I really liked, and it spoke to me. I started hanging it up in my house, and every time I walked by, it was almost like I wanted to take a little pause and just look at it and go, oh yeah, that's pretty. That makes me feel good. And that's when you're on the right path. So I love that goal. Okay. Let me take a look here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything for you guys. Okay. Okay. Let's move on to choosing paints. This is how I do it. And when I lead people through in like workshops, and these are people that like, they don't even want to be not that they don't want to be artists. It's not even on their radar, right? Maybe they sign up for a workshop for the day with some family members. I've had groups come in that were friends, and they're like, oh, we just want an activity, right? We want something fun. And I'll take them through, and they amaze themselves with what they're actually able to create. And each one of them ends up creating a painting that is so uniquely different and so reflective of them. And I love it, and they love it, and they're so proud of their work, and they really surprise themselves with what, they're able to do. So here's how I tell them to start. Like, we've done this, right? We've done this. And hopefully maybe not all the jitters are out of you, but something is, right? And so it's freeing up space in our mind. And now we're going to choose our paints. So this part is really important. We get caught in our minds and we get stuck and paralyzed. And this used to be me. So I want you reflect back on your intention, right? Let me see. My intention is letting go. I told you, letting go of the stress of dealing with the holidays, getting out of my routine, things I can't control, all of that. I'm letting go. I'm exhaling it, right? So whatever your intention is, maybe it's hope, maybe it's gratitude, healing, anything for this day, this 2025 new year. Think on that for a second. Turn to your paints and just grab 3 colors. Don't even think it. This is the trick. Don't even think about it. Like your intuition inside of you knows, but it's just disconnected with us. So just grab. Don't think, just grab. Okay? And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And I think you guys all know me by now. Most of you know, like I tend to favor certain colors because through the years, I learned they really speak to me, and I just don't fight it anymore. So I'm gonna go with that. And I may change down the road, that's okay. But in the moment that you choose those colors, really try to make it with what your intention is, what you're feeling today. That's the trick. Okay, so choose 3, and we're just gonna lay them out somewhere on our, on your little paint mixing area. So here we go. I'm gonna switch cameras. All right. Let's just get them out. All right, and while you're getting yours out, I'm gonna tell you about the colors I chose. All right. All right, so I have found, you're gonna think I'm crazy. I'm maybe the only person that loves browns. I used to hate brown, honestly. Like, why would you use brown in a painting, right? But I've discovered some things about it. Now these are some custom mixes of browns that I've made, which there's no secret to it, right? I just literally mixed different browns. You can see this one's a darker, like dark chocolate. This one is more of a milky chocolate. So this is my warmer brown. And don't worry about that, and this is my cooler brown. But I mean, honestly, look at this. Who would think that somebody would want to use colors like this as like a main color in a painting? So it just, I grew into it. And so just know that there's really no ugly color. It's how we use it. So I'm going to lay these out. Let's see. Let me make sure I lay them out in a spot where you guys can see it. All right. Just lay out some amount. And depending on how many surfaces you're working on. But, where is my, Krista, would you mind that bottom drawer, the bottom drawer over on the cabinets on the other side, the left-hand side? There's the thing of baby wipes. Would you mind grabbing me one? Thank you so much. All right, this is typical me, okay? And I just I have these here and I'm always, and I got too much paint on my hands, I guess, to get this open, but thank you. But anyways, part of the fun for me is letting a little bit of the paint get on my hands. And, meantime, thank you so much. I've got the 2 best assistants here. Okay. So we're just gonna lay out our colors. These 2 browns have become like staple colors for me. I really love how they work. All right. Okay, and then this is a favorite of mine, this acrylic. It's a Utrecht brand of turquoise. And if you get my weekly artist emails, you'll see I did a whole thing on like different paint brands. Let me grab this one. Different paint brands. You can probably see it better here. Different paint brands, but the same color. They're not always the same, right? And I compared this to maybe 2 other brands with their turquoise versions. And this is my favorite. I can do so much with this. Like you can see it, it looks almost black here, right? It's just crazy, it's dark. And then I can take it all the way to almost white. And so when you get another brand, you can't, like, they're not always like that. And so this, plus I love the shade of this. There's a slight variation in shade on some brands in their coloring. And as you do this over time, you'll just figure out what you love and what works best for you. So, would one of my assistants mind giving me the baby wipes? I'm gonna have to keep them over here. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on. So I've got my 2 browns, the blue, and I think I'm going to choose a yellow ochre. All right, and that's this. Nova Color is another brand that I love to use. I love it because look, it's like practically fluid, but it's not completely. So it comes off real easy and it mixes so nicely with other colors. It doesn't take, it's not a hard mix, right? Whereas this blue, it's a very heavy body paint. It's solid, you pick it up and it doesn't fall off like that yellow one does. But I don't mind working with it like that. Some people only use heavy bodies, some people only use this. And to me, the shade that I get is so worth it that I don't mind mixing it a little bit, a little bit harder than I would have to with the others. So, and then the other colors I always use, and I buy this in big buckets, is my white. So I'm gonna pour a big thing of white out here. Now you don't need to put as much out, right? I just partially, I want you all to be able to see what I'm doing. And I know that I'm gonna be using this on all 4 of my paintings here. So, generally, I have black handy and I keep it in here because it's such a strong color. I don't need a lot. I'm not gonna squirt any out yet, but you can if you want to put a little bit black out, because when we say choose 3 to 4 colors, it's always black and white in addition to it because we use those as mixing colors. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get paint on the canvas, and we're not gonna put a super thick layer. We just wanna get some paint on that canvas. So grab a brush. These are ones I tend to like to use, and I usually go thicker brushes because I find painting with abstract, what I want is to not have control, right? And it sounds a little bit like an oxymoron, but that's how you get the abstract look. You take away your control. So I'm gonna start with this one. And these are nothing special brushes, you guys. The brands I know are all covered, but I could tell you can get them Michaels, if you're in the US, Michaels, Hobby Lobby, Amazon, anyone could get, right? And I don't believe in buying expensive paintbrushes because they're my workhorses. I have to be able to beat them up to get what I want. Okay, so I'm gonna dip my brush in water, and I'm gonna start with this dark brown, right? So I'm not trying to get a big, thick layer on right now because we're gonna be doing multiple layers, and I wanna give it at least some chance to dry so that we can do some more. but it's not, we're not going after a finished painting today. We are just getting started. I'm gonna switch colors. Let yourself be messy, right? This is not about, think of it as a continuation of just getting those jitters out maybe, of maybe not, gosh, I haven't painted in like almost 6 months, and all of that. And just switch colors. Don't worry, like this surface here on this wood that I'm using, it's got a lot of texture in it, meaning it's got a lot of layers of paint. And so parts of it are raised up and parts of it are lower. So you're seeing that I'm not able to get my paint into every crevice, right? I'm not worried about that right now. I just want to make a mess. So let yourself be messy. And sometimes, even look, this is really right here is just getting my creativity going. And that's what I hope is happening for you. It's just, I'm loving, this is nothing, right? But I'm loving the interaction of the colors. I'm gonna wet my brush again. I just love it. Look at, like, you can only get some of this when it blends. And yeah, we're gonna paint over that. That's no big deal. But I want you to understand the importance. Like there's a couple of reasons this is important. And I'm gonna let you guys paint. I'm gonna switch cameras because I just wanna talk to you about that for a minute. So keep painting. And then I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna switch. And all right, so what I want to say about all of that is the whole idea. So as we paint abstract, my approach, but I think a lot of us really, is we do it in layers. And so if you've seen so far, we've done like an activation layer, and it doesn't have to be, mark making. If you don't like that, just let go of it, right? My intention, let it go. And just do what makes you feel good. So if you just want to stick with the paint, then that can be your first layer, is the paint. And then just, you give it 10 minutes or so. If it's a thin layer, it won't take long to dry in acrylic. Let it dry, maybe while it's drying. So while this is drying, you switch to another surface, right? And that's part of the trick, so to say, that those of us that keep overpainting and then we get tighter and is you got to let it get put aside. Work on something else. Let it dry. Keep your mind busy, because once our mind gets in that state, it wants to keep going. And we want to get painting. We want to keep painting. So let it dry. Work on another one. That's why I have 4 canvases out here. Is I know that at some point I'm going to have to put it aside. And it's usually sooner than I recognize, right? So when I painted enough, it's usually 30 seconds prior to that, I should have let it go. And so it's a training, it's a self-training. But this layer that we're, this layer here, the purpose is, just not just to get paint on here, which we need to build up so many layers so that the paint that goes on top is really rich. It becomes more sophisticated. The color upon color here, it adds a type of complexity, sophistication, and beauty to the paint that goes on top. But it also serves a double purpose for us to, look at this. This is getting my mind going. And take advantage of that. Don't rush through this. I'm already I love these colors, and it's nothing, right? I'm acknowledging that it's nothing, but I love blues. I love these deserty, earthy tone colors. And I've discovered that these colors just tend to give me a sense of ease. And for me, that's a necessity when I paint. For you, it might be something totally different. And so you need to be open to that. But it's we're just like, starting to raise that awareness. So, okay, I'm gonna do one more surface, and then and then I'll share a couple more things with you. Okay, so let me take this one that has nothing on it. Okay, as you've seen, I've painted with a piece of wood panel, right? And it had some paint on there before, but I know not everybody, put a layer of paint on their surface this morning. So I'm gonna start with this one. And I'm gonna leave this one here to dry. All right. And then let's switch cameras. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. So maybe you want, and I'm not even gonna wash my brush, okay? Because I want you to see that, one, painting is meant to be fun, messy. It's meant to blur everything, and this is what gets the creativity going. Look at the beauty of these colors mixing together instead of just putting one solid color. I used to think these were so ugly, and that was the biggest mistake that I made, right? Is, oh my gosh, look at this. This is what we call mud. And it's just like, ugh, what am I gonna do? And everyone else has these beautiful pops of color, right? Well, it wasn't until later on that I learned that the magic is in all of this, right? So don't be afraid of it. Let it be what it is. I'm gonna let me just finish this one out. I'm not making too thick of a layer because I wanna give it some chance to dry here so that we can put that second layer on. All right, and I hope you guys are having fun with this, and that you're starting to see that the beauty, the joy, it's the process. It's about you getting connected with you, and that's what's going to bring the magic out. And I hope you're starting to see that you can do this, because look at how messy I'm making it. And I used to think all these artists oh my gosh, the first thing that comes out of their hands is it's just a masterpiece, a work of art. I'll never get there. But that's not true. That couldn't be farther from the truth. All right, look, that's all it is for this surface. I'm gonna let this one, put this one aside to dry. And I'm gonna switch cameras. And I want to, let me get these off. I'll probably step on them here. Okay, I'm gonna put them actually back up here. Okay. I wanna, you can continue painting your surfaces, or if you're done letting them dry, let's take this, this time to let it dry a little bit. And I just wanna talk to you a little bit about this while they're drying, and then we'll jump back in. Okay. I believe anyone can make art. So if you didn't think that was you, I want you to do your best at this moment to let go of that thought process, because you absolutely can make art. Each person has a unique artistic ability inside them. And if you think back to when you were a kid, we would scribble, we would make art, we'd be so proud of it, right? We didn't give any thought on how bad it was, given our level. And something happened, when we went from childhood to adult, where now all this judgment is in. And that just damages us so much. So let go of that, please, and just give yourself permission. You're in a really safe environment here among other artists and people that want to learn. And no one is going to feel or criticize, because we all want to be able to create more beautiful art. So I started later in life, 36-ish or so, right? And it all started when my husband and I purchased a home and we couldn't decide on the art. And he worked in the home building industry. And so every time, you walk into those model homes and they're all just perfectly decorated, right? And I loved everything about them. But he would walk in and he'd be like, ugh, it just screams model home to me. It's so impersonal. And I asked him, like, well, what would it take for you to want to have a piece of art in your room or in our home? Like, what? To me, it's beautiful. Where's the disconnect between how we feel, right? And he said, well, it needs to be personal to me. Like, there needs to be some sort of connection, or I need to know the artist, or it has to trigger a memory or something in me, right? And I thought, that's a really good point. And I kind of sat on that for a while. And I started noticing by watching some of these HGTV channel shows, and I would see some of the artists, like David Bromstad, when he got started, and he decorated someone's home. He, at the end, as a gift to them, would make a painting based on the colors of their room and what he knew about them as a person, right? And what they liked. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And so I just started playing around with that, right? And yeah, my paintings probably sucked, but I didn't care at the time. It felt so good to make something. And it just, I was proud of what I did for what I knew at that point in my art journey. And it felt so good. Okay, so I want to show you where I came from and like how, what's the word? Basic, simple, almost primary, where I was in my painting level so that you can see, okay? Because I want to dispel any negative talk in anyone's mind, because we all have it. All right, let me take this down. This is the very first painting that I made in our home. And I was, if I could get it up here, I was so proud of it. Okay, is this in view? Okay, all right. I mean, check it out. I didn't even know anything about color mixing. I didn't know how paint worked, and I didn't care, right? I was just trying to find a piece of artwork that both my husband and I would be willing to put up in our home. And I thought, okay, you want something that it can trigger a memory or something that you enjoy in your life. You want to either know the artist, and what was the other one? You want to, it has to trigger something for you, right? Like any one of those. And I thought, okay, well, you know me, so that's one, I'm the artist. And we both, at the time we lived in California, and we lived by this levee system, this waterway, where we could walk up every night and take a nice long walk along the water and watch sunsets. And, we would get the most beautiful, amazing sunsets. And it was our moment to just let go of the day and just decompress, right? And so I thought, wow, that's a perfect reminder. So this is what I painted, you guys. I mean, look at it. I couldn't even blend the colors. I knew nothing about something we call color harmony, which is making all the colors work like they belong together. And it looks, let's be honest, it looks like I finger painted it, right? But let me tell you, we were both so proud of that painting, and we had it in our house for like 3 years before I started learning more, and it just felt really good to us. And that was the catalyst to what made us start curating things more. Like, meaning we didn't just bring anything into our house. We paused, we thought, and we asked ourselves, does this make me feel good? Is this something that when I walk by and look at it in the house, I go, I feel good, right? That's all it is. And so if I can go from there to where I am now, any one of you can as well. So just know that. I'm going to show you one more painting because after that I started taking some workshops and I go, man, that sucks. I really want to learn some more. And let me move this one up here. All right. Just move it up. And so this one I did on watercolor paper. Now, it's also not my best work, but I saw some improvement, and this is what I created. Okay, from that. Okay, is that in view for everybody? Okay, thanks. So these were some of the sunsets that we actually would see. We lived in Northern California, and this, for anyone who might be from that area, is Mount Diablo. We had a view of it from the distance, and this is the waterway, right? And there was, the reflection, obviously I couldn't capture it. And I wanted to go more abstract, but to those of you that have been, wanting to go looser and get more abstract-y, this was my journey. Like, I wanted abstract from the start, but I didn't know how to get there. And so my hand just kept going back to like more of a realistic sense. And I had to work on it to get it outside of that. So this was some of my early work, and I was really proud of that too at the time. So be proud of everything you've done up to now, right? And I've saved these just as a reminder to myself, like, look at where you came from. Like, this is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna put this down here because it won't stay. And I just want to encourage each one of you. Oh, and before I move on, I want to show this here, okay? And in fact, can we switch cameras so I can show it to them underneath? Okay, let me know when we're ready. Okay, thanks. All right, so as artists, we grow, right? And this was an experiment that I did, and this is a solid copper bracelet that I painted, and I put some desert stones in here because we live in Las Vegas now, and so these are turquoise, this is opal, and I just wanted to see what I can do with it, right? And so I made, and then I signed the back, and it's one of these bracelets where you just, you kind of warm it up a little bit, and it can go on your wrist, and you can clamp it a little bit so it stays on, and it's bendable. It's completely bendable. And let me switch cameras here. And so I'm going to give this away to somebody here that's attending live with me, just as my gift to you. I want you to see what is possible for you and what you can make in the abstract realm, right? It doesn't have to just stay on canvas. And so at the end, if I forget, remind me, don't let us get off this live without giving this away to somebody. And I know there's guys on here too, so guys, I know you're probably not going to wear this, but here's what I want you to do. You have a woman in your life that you know, whether it be a friend, a relative, a significant other. This can make the most amazing, unique Valentine's gift, which is right around the corner. I guarantee you, nobody will have this. So that's your angle if you win. All right, I'm gonna set this aside, and let's go back to our painting surfaces. Now I know they may not be completely dried. That is okay. We're just doing thin layers to get ourselves started. And I hope you're having fun with this, okay? Give yourself permission to just have fun. There's no judgment here. We're figuring out how do we get, into that abstract realm? We're gonna start, well, first of all, we do it by starting in the abstract. One of my mentors a long time ago said to me, underneath every great abstract painting is an incredible underpainting. And that's what we're working on now, is that underpainting, okay? All right, let's switch cameras. Let's go back. I'm gonna start with these two here. I can see my layers, like this one, it's almost dry. There's just a little section there, not a big deal. This one is looking pretty dry. All right, so now I'm gonna whip out some of my abstract tools, and I'm gonna show you just to make sure. So those of you that want to stay loose, right, and not get back into like what I called the realistic world from my first paintings, we are gonna switch tools. And I know you may not have these tools, that's okay, but I'm gonna show you some things that I do. All right. Okay. One of the things that I love to do as an abstract artist is look for the unusual, the not necessarily paint tool, right? Check this out. This is just a piece of cardboard that came in a box of something that we bought, some item that was packaged, right, and needed to be protected. So now, hopefully, this raises your awareness of like things you could use as painting tools. They make the best, because what I love to do is for people to look at my painting and go, wow, I wonder how'd she make that mark, right? That's so cool. Here's another favorite, a squeegee, a shower squeegee, right? That's all it is. I'm gonna show you what I do. A brayer roller, I love this thing. And believe it or not, some butcher paper, right? And this, you can see I've used it. And if you can see here, with all the layers of paint, you see this unevenness that's in here? I love how it gets that. And so I don't throw these away when I've got several layers of paint on it, because it gives me a lot more texture, irregularity, and it makes perfect abstract work. So we're gonna start, and I'm gonna do, let's start with this one, okay? So I'm just gonna take some paint. Oh, and by the way, I had the painting this way before. I'm switching it. So maybe you might want to switch up yours too. And I'm gonna just put some paint just randomly. And sometimes what I do is I'll line all the paint up here, just 'cause. And as you're doing this, think back on your intention and ask yourself, are you having fun, right? That's what it's about. I'm gonna dip this in my bucket of water. And I'm just gonna start pushing the paint around. And depending on the surface, it doesn't always work with every surface, but how cool is that? You can see it's skipped over some sections. Let me grab this over here and just drag it. But like if you're looking for that rawness, that like abstracty feel of like, how on earth did you make those marks? This is a great way. And so sometimes, this is a thin layer, so it's not gonna take too long to dry, but obviously the thicker the layers that you put on here, you have to give it time to dry, that is, all right? But I love this. It's just, let me grab this off the edges. See, this is how I end up with paint all over my hands, which I don't mind. And then I just wipe it on my clothes. But they're paint clothes. All right. There. We're gonna switch it around. And let's just look at this for a second. I mean, this is the type of painting that I would look, it's not finished, obviously, But if you want to get in that loose abstract, this is how you do it. You start in the loose abstract. And I'm just getting that. There was a buildup over there. All right. And so what I do sometimes from there, so I've got paint on here, and rather than waste it, I'm going to take my other canvas, and I'm just going to push it on there. Let me clear some space here. I'm going to slide this down, bring this into view, right? I don't want to waste it, so I'm just going to get the edge. All right. And get as much off. Now I'm going to put this in water. Actually, I'm going to wipe it first because I'll probably forget. The one drawback with this is you don't want the paint to dry on here because then it's really hard to get off and it doesn't allow you to smooth the paint. So I've got it off, so now I'll just let it sit in some water. And where's my brayer? All right. This I love. It's called a brayer. You can get it anywhere. It's a craft item and they come in all different sizes. And so I dip it in some water, shake it off a little bit, and I'm just gonna spread it. And it leaves the coolest marks. And then you change direction, right? Depends on what you want to do. And that's how I get this texture in here. And so I'm gonna add some more paint. Sometimes I wanna go in with like one color, and let's make some lighter turquoise. And I'm going to add a little bit of brown in with it, just for fun. And let's put it, that's not enough. Okay, I'm just going to put it all on the canvas and then we'll mix it there. Because sometimes I want that mixing of the color on the canvas where you could see certain colors in a section, but then not in the other, versus mixing it up all over here on the side and everything's even. There's beauty in both, but let's see. There. It just really gives a cool texture. Okay, and sometimes I'm like, well, that's cool, but let's see. I'll just get the whole thing, right? It's not like this is finished, but sometimes when I see it out like this, I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. So what can I play off of? Let me grab another brush. Can I just make some, maybe, let me mix it over here, some brown, some lighter brown. And let's see if I bring it in, what happens, right? I'm always asking myself the question, what happens if I do this? Now, I love the way this is blending here with this and these colors and how they're going, but I would never gravitate to colors like these before. I'd be thinking, oh, that's gross, right? And it's just a matter of learning how to use them. All color is beautiful, just how we use them. And with this too, with the brush, I'm always finding ways of like, how can I use my brush where it's not typical? Okay, let me put this back in the water because we don't want it to dry. And another one of my favorite things, it's a spray bottle, an old Windex bottle. And I just I'll spray it and I'll let the paint run. Right? Can you see that? It's just running down. And I love what it does. I love drips. I love just the blending. You can't get this with a paintbrush, right? And so here, as much as I'm so tempted to continue painting on this one because I'm in the zone now, it's fun, and I feel like my creativity has woken up, I know I've got to let it sit. So, let's see. I'm just gonna spread a few sections, not all of it. There. And I'm gonna let this dry now. So I've taken some of this color and I brought it up here. You can see it's not the same, but there's a layer of the tone of that in here, right? And so that helps balance the painting out to make it look, you know, like it all goes together, because you see color in a couple of different spots. So this I love right now. And I need to dry and let it see what happens. Now it's still the underpainting, but this underpainting is starting to wake up my creativity even more. All right, so we're gonna resist. Let's switch. Okay, as that one dries, let's take this one. I'm going to take this off. Okay. This is my wood panel here, and you can see it's not, you know, it's not dry. That's okay. I think I'm going to switch tools again with this. Let me put some of my things in water so they don't harden. That's the only thing that you're going to battle when you do this. I mean, look at how pretty this is from mixing the paint, right? You just want to have your tools soaking in water as you're switching around so that you can, you know, they're not going to get hardened and work against you in that sense. All right, so let's just take another trusted, true favorite. You probably, if you follow me on Instagram, you see me always using this. I love it. This is a cake frosting spatula. It's not a paint tool. And it's just perfect for spreading paint out and just doing all sorts of things. All right, but first what I want to do is get a layer. I'm going to mix up. I'm just going to make a mess, okay? So just watch this. I'm taking all my paints and I'm going to make a mess with them. Let's bring in some more white. Okay, and let's say, I'm just going to do it on this top section here. Maybe bring a little down here. And then some pure white, because the paint underneath is not completely dry, so it's gonna mix up at some point. All right, but you see that? It's just making a mess. I don't care right now. I don't care what happens to it. I'm going to take this and I'm going to dip it in my water and we're going to see what happens. I'm just going to spread it across. Keep in mind, this surface is not even. I've got lots of layers and I'm actually going to use that to work with me, right? And you can see some sections are smooth. It's skipped and jump over some sections. And then I've got this paint here. And sometimes I'll just try and bring it down. Like I had that line there, I didn't really want that, so I got rid of it. Okay. Now it's really becoming a non-representational abstract, right? It could be anything. And then let me just take this out, right? This is the butcher paper. And I think I'm gonna take some of my turquoise paint. I'm gonna bring it over here. I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of the white because I wanna bring out more of that blue. It's such a dark, it's a very highly pigmented color. So if you use it in its pure form and you put it on top of a dark color, it can look almost black. And I wanna see more of that pop of blue. I'm just gonna spread it. And you can see as I'm spreading it, or let me take a brush, you might see that better. taking the brush and I'm just a thin layer. I don't want too much. And there's no order. And I'm just gonna take this now and I want to see what happens. What if, here's my thought process. I go, what would happen if I put it here? Let's see. And then I'm gently laying it down. And I honestly don't know what's going to happen, right? Sometimes it looks great, sometimes it looks horrible. Gently, and then I pull it off. And I go, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Well, I like it. I don't want all that texture. So what if I then smooth it out a little bit? Or actually, I do it with something like this. And the paint from here is also getting on it, right? And so it's adding a different dimension to that. And now my mind's going, ooh, okay, that's kind of cool, but I want to, let's add some yellow. Let's see what happens if I add yellow. And let's see. I'm gonna take this. I'm just gonna put some over here. And then I want to add a little bit up here. Let me switch, grab a new one. I'll use this. And then maybe just a little bit down here and a little up there. All right. And this is how we work out a painting, right? It's an experiment. I don't care. Right now we're just in the beginning stages, so it really doesn't matter. It couldn't be in a better spot for experimenting, right? And then I'm gonna I'm gonna rinse this off. And I'm just gonna, you can go any direction too. I'm gonna go this direction. There. Actually, that's better. Bring this up. And maybe a little bit of the yellow is down here. Okay. And so it's brought more yellow in throughout. And I'm gonna scrape this off. And I think what I want to do now is maybe just see what happens if I spread it around a little. And get rid of potentially some shapes I don't like, or just bring in what I like to call some quiet areas. Those are calmer sections of the painting where not so much is going on. And it kind of gives our eye just a little area to sort of rest, right? And it's kind of cool when you're doing that. So play around with yours as I'm playing around with mine. And now, and just know this layer here is just a layer, and there's going to be more that goes over it, but I may not keep all of this. Sometimes I don't keep any of it, right? I come back, I go, ugh, no, there's just no way. And sometimes I'm like, well, okay, I just like this little section over here. Let's keep that. But what I'm doing in this process, besides like getting my own creativity going, is I'm adding all that layer of paint. The layers get thicker, they build, they add a big richness, like a lot of richness to the actual painting. All right. And here we go. Okay. And so I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to switch cameras. So give me a second. I'm going to switch cameras, get all my tools in the water so that they're not hardening. Let me make sure I've got everything here covered in my notes here. I don't want to miss anything for you guys. Okay, but what I did want to do is, so if you've never seen any of those tools before that I've used, or like this whole thing is new to you, and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. I think I actually want to like pursue this maybe a little bit more. I have a artist community, and they all have the list of these tools that I use. And every week I send them a video, and it's maybe doing a demo on this is how you do this, or this is a challenge that we all face with, abstract painting, or have you ever wondered how to do this? Well, we're gonna work through it. Or sometimes, and I like to think that those emails are like a conversation between me and my artist community, and they'll often respond back to one of my weekly emails and say, hey, can you, I'm struggling with, how do you make fluid paint, right? Can you show me how to make fluid paint or do a demo or something? And so that goes in my queue of things that I cover, and that's what we do. We tackle things together, and we talk all things abstract art. And so if, and also, they have the list of my top 10 tools. I call it my top 10 tools for making abstract art. And if you are at all interested in that, I'm going to have one of my assistants drop the link in to the comments. And all you have to do is click on that link, put your email in, and then you will you'll get my top 10 tools list right away. And I also tell you where you can buy. I believe we put the links into that top 10 tools list so that you can just click on the link. I'm not an affiliate for any of those. It's just, I just want to get give that information out to you, because I wish I had this when I first started. I would have progressed so much quicker down the abstract route, right, to what I wanted to do, versus fighting that realism that kept coming out inside of me. I didn't want that. But you'll get that with the links as to where you can buy them. Most of them, I believe, are on Amazon. So if you get Amazon in your country, you should be able to get those tools. And then, keep your eye out for things like this. I didn't get to use it, but what I do is just put paint on here and then smack it down on the painting for these really cool, irregular marks. And that's the whole part of abstract that I think we're attracted to, right? Is you think the artist, you ever see those paintings where the artist, it's there's a big blob in the middle, and then there's a little one and this big line over it, and you think, oh, they did that with that in mind, right? And they didn't. It's just they got into a really good experimental state and a good creative flow. And it came out over time. And that's what we did today, is we started to get into that creative flow. And I want you to see, so these paintings aren't, nearly done. Ideally, if I'm to work on them more, I would do more layers. But this part of the process is crucial in getting our minds into that abstract realm and just getting started. So, I'm going to let them dry, and I think we only have about 12 minutes left. So what I'd like to do now is just remind you to focus on you. This is an experiment, right? To focus on you and getting in touch with yourself, your inner artist, and letting go of judgment. Just letting yourself have fun. It's a no judgment zone. You have to make that your rule. You have to make this a non-negotiable. You don't judge. You don't try to compare your work to others. You just allow yourself to experiment and see where it goes. you will be surprised if you do this on a regular basis of where you can go, where you can actually take this work. And once you get going, more ideas come. You know, we start to see things that did not, you know, they would never be in the realm of our possibility until we actually started doing it. It's like it opens your mind up to so many possibilities. And that's the fun of it. I'm thinking, I want to give a couple minutes for questions, but let me ask you guys this, because we really just got started today. Let me know if you'd be interested in doing one more of these, and maybe we take these layers that we worked at today, and we'll set a time and we'll do another session. Just type in yes in the comments if that's something that, you know, if you're interested, and I'll make it happen. But I want to open this up to any potential questions before we go on. Oh, and thank you. My assistants just reminded me we got to do the giveaway. Okay, so here's how we're going to do it. You guys, if you have any questions, you can type them in. But all right, the first person. So to make it fair, it's going to be the first person on my assistant's screen that they see. And everyone's screen, your view is going to be a little different with like the comments and who you see and all that. But it's going to be the first person they see. So the first person to type in the word abstract right now. So go ahead, type it in. And they're going to tell me who they see. Just give it a second, because there's a 6-second delay here on our end for the live. It's just how YouTube works. But they're going to let me know when they have it. And this is going to be yours. All right? So, I think they got one. All right. Stand by. We're going to...
Amy McKinnon Art.
Say that again?
Amy McKinnon? McKeehan?
Amy McKeehan? Let's see. I'll spell it out. Okay, thank you. Amy McKeehan Art, MC capital Keehan. Congratulations, you are the winner. Thanks. All right, so Amy, here's what I want you to do. DM me privately on Instagram. I've got your name. I'm gonna search you up too. Let me write it down. Amy McKeehan Art. All right, this is your bracelet, but send me a DM. I need an address to mail this to, okay? So give me an address and I'll send it off. Congratulations. And let me see if I can get back to where's my view? Chat. Okay. All right. This was really exciting to do with you guys today. I'm so glad we did it. I just want you to know this has served me just as much, because I knew I needed something big to get back into my routine for 2025. I want you all to claim this as your year for abstract art, okay? And oh good, okay. So I see lots of yeses for doing another one. So okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I do these sort of privately with my artist community group for a couple of reasons. I don't want to make it fully public. I'm sort of new to this, and I just don't want anyone in that isn't necessarily of the mindset that we are, and any potential trolls that jump in, right? So the way I generally operate, and we had a little glitch in my email service provider this week that we had to fix, and so some of you weren't getting the emails for a while, but it's all been fixed. So if you sign up for that artist community, my tools list, that's my main way of communicating with all the artists. And they're an incredible community. Like, I really love what we've created and the back and forth communication that I get from all of you guys on the list already. And that tells me what you want, what you want to work on. And I want to work on those same things. So that's how I'm going to that's how I'm going to make the announcement. So I will set a date with my team here and we'll do another live, and you can save these and we can continue them, or you can try and finish them out and start new ones, right? Either way, it's going to be a win, and we'll go from there. But I'm going to put the announcement out to my artist group through that email, because that's the most secure way I could do it, and it's really meant to be just for us. It's not, for people that are not like-minded. I want it to be a very safe environment where there's no judgment, where we just have fun, and we take something from just this all the way to the end, hopefully. And hopefully next time, we'll have more time to maybe not finish, but get much closer to the finish of those paintings. So let's see, let me just check in with my assistants. If there is any questions, I'm taking a look here really quickly. It's okay if there's not, but wow, Germany. I love that you guys are from all over the world. I have a daughter living in Denmark right now. I myself have lived in Madrid for 6 years, a long time ago. My husband has lived in Italy, Japan. I love, Cape Town, how cool. That's on my list to go to. I love that this big world has become like so small and connected in that sense that we can connect with each other from all over. All right, so, and I'm 68. Congratulations for being here and painting. I want you to know, let me just speak for a second to all of you, because I know I have all age groups here, and I've received private messages from people 89 years old in Denmark, 92 in France, people all ages that are just getting started. And this is one of the things I love about abstract art is age has nothing to do with it. You can start at any age. There is an artist, I can't think of the name right now. She started like in her late 90s and lived to be over 100, and it made some incredible art. So it's just the beginning. This is something like I got into it too because I wanted to be able to do this. I wanted something that I could do as I age and just get better with time. It's one of those things. There's not many things out there like that, but art can do that for you. It keeps us in a creative flow, a good mental state, our motor skills, right? All that stuff that we need. It's a beautiful thing. So it's really exciting. And wow, thank you guys. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to do this. I look forward to doing another one with you all. If you haven't joined that artist community so that I can get the word directly to you, and we can do another one. But thank you so much for attending today. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we'll be in touch soon. Happy New Year, everyone. I'll see you soon.